The headlines. Flood displaces residents of 13 plateau communities, destroys farmlands. Police, local hunters rescue 14 abducted passengers in Osun. Students beg ASU to return as other unions suspend strike. And on the foreign scene, Kiev bans Independence Day celebrations over Russia-Ukraine war. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. Rainstorm has ravaged about 13 communities in Langtang South local government area of Plateau State. The flood, which occurred on Monday night, also left hundreds of persons displaced, destroyed farmlands, property and bridges leading to some communities. The residents of the affected communities told our correspondent that several houses were submerged following hours of downpour. They said the destruction could lead to impending hunger as several farmlands were also affected. The chairman of Langtang South Local Government Council, Honorable Vincent Bulus, had on his Facebook page confirmed the incident. And 14 Ilesha-bound travelers have been rescued from kidnappers in Osun State by policemen in the state and local hunters. A source said the passengers were abducted by gunmen posing as passengers. Confirming the incident, the spokesperson of the State Police Command, Yemisi Okpalola, said they rescued the passengers from kidnappers with the help of hunters, adding that the passengers were forced into the bush at the boundary of Oshogbo and Ilesha, but were found at Brewery area inside Ilesha. According to the police, the passengers were abducted on Sunday. Meanwhile, 2 children were reported dead while 3 adults sustained injuries when a building at Adeleye Street in the Bariga area of Lagos State collapsed on Sunday. Confirming the incident, the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Olufemi Oke Osanyutolu, said the agency, upon arrival at the incident scene, discovered that the tank scaffolding of a 2-story building collapsed on a bungalow beside it and affected 2 rooms.
Last night, we saw the LASEMA bus. The LASEMA bus was in the street last night. So they took her that they are going to give her first aid treatment. So lying her down inside their bus, we were told that they are going to take her to the hospital for treatment. Initially, they were saying they need 1 person to follow her down there. But there was no one around, like none of our family members was around to take her down there. So they took her away with the hope that they are taking her to the hospital. Not until this morning around 5 a.m. when we went outside, we saw her outside. So we asked her that what happened? How? You are not supposed to be discharged this early. And she said it is from Lady Luck Hospital, that the LASEMA took her to Lady Luck Hospital. And when they took her there, they stitched the mouth and give her just a little first aid treatment. Then afterwards, Lady Luck people were asking for money, the amount of 15,000 naira. And because the people that were around said, okay, they will bring the money, something of such. Then they had to let her go from Lady Luck Hospital, that since there is no money, she should go. So on getting back home, she had to trek from Lady Luck Hospital back to this place. So we don't understand the reason why LASEMA people would take her from here and go and deposit her at Lady Luck Hospital without no proper attention. We don't understand. And
to politics now, where the Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Oshogbo, Osun State, has granted the prayer of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola for substituted service on the governor-elect Ademola Adeleke. Oyetola was the candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the last gubernatorial election in the state, while Adeleke was the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Oyetola's counsel, Yomi Aliu, told the court that Adeleke evaded the service, which necessitated the motion for the substituted service. Trust TV's Hamid Oyegbade reports that the tribunal, led by Justice Tetsia Kume, in an ex parte order granted Oyetola's prayers for substituted service on Adeleke and inspection of election materials.
For us, we trust and believe in the sanctity of the judiciary, and we expect nothing than success at the tribunal, because we know what our people voted, we know what Osho's people want and what they voted for, and we know for sure that victory is ours at the tribunal.
Meanwhile, the need for social media supporters of different political parties and candidates to restrict themselves to issue-based campaigns ahead of the 2023 election has again been emphasized. Now, this comes as politicians brace up for the official commencement of campaigns in September. The report.
In Makurdi, the Benue State capital, residents have raised concerns over political bickering and smear campaigns by social media handlers. Those who spoke to a reporter called on politicians to guide their supporters through issue-based campaigns.
Because if they are not supporting the actions, tacitly supporting the actions of their supporters, I think it will not continue. Because the leaders are actually a reflection of their followers. So I think they have a big role to play in calling their media handlers, image makers, and so, as well as their supporters to order.
They also say there are quite a number of problems to be addressed in the country rather than acrimonious politics. While insisting that Nigeria's democracy has come of age for politicians to adopt best practices as sustainable in mature democracies, residents want supporters focus on issues clogging the wheel of progress in the nation instead of acrimonious politicking.
So we need people who can come up with new ways of settling our problems. That's what needed to have been done. Unfortunately, this is not the case. What we have now is political parties, their candidates and supporters running down on others, their opponents.
Because you have even the constitutional powers allows you to recall any person that is not really working for the interests of the people who voted them into office. So it's a constitutional right that we have to look towards activating that aspect of the law too. You know, anybody who feels he occupies any public office and he's not really ready to hear the cries of the people that voted him or his constituents, I think they have the powers to challenge him so that he will come back to order.
Attacks on individual candidates rather than issues have dominated the social media space, with supporters of candidates overheating the polity, even with a ban on campaign by political parties yet to be lifted.
Presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and Labour Party's Peter Obi took turns to express divergent policy opinions to get the country out of the woods. The duo spoke at the ongoing NBA Annual General Conference in Lagos. APC Vice Presidential candidate Kashim Shettima also represented Bola Tinubu at the 2022 conference themed Bold Transition. The report.
The Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association is declared open by the Acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwoola. At least 13,000 lawyers are attending the meeting, which is both physical and virtual. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, told the conference that if given the opportunity, he will hand over federal government-owned universities to state governments to manage.
I stated that there are 5 key areas that any leadership, forget about party, any leadership, whichever from political party, must confront these 5 issues. And I enumerated them. I said the unity of our country is very, very fundamental. And how do we achieve the unity of our country? Is by making sure that we give every part of this country a sense of belonging.
Presidential candidate of Labour Party is, however, optimistic that the 2023 elections campaign will be centered on capacity of the contestants irrespective of their ethnicity and religion.
How did we come here? It's a cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years. Because it's 10%, I've stopped here, I would have talked about power. How did we come here? What are we going to do? Very quickly, to come out of this, very quickly, you need to have a visionary, articulated, competent leadership to start turning around this.
Kashim Shettima, APC's vice presidential candidate, said if elected, Tinubu will replicate the transformation of Lagos State on a national scale.
I urge my learned colleagues here, my learned friends here, to be rational, to be calm. You should have the boldness and the courage to make informed decisions, not emotional decisions.
Speakers at the conference include outgoing NBA President Olumide Akpata and Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu represented.
And to education now, the Gombe State University chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has kicked against the resumption of academic activities in the institution following a directive by the university management. Trans TV's Ibrahim Ismail spoke to a cross-section of 100 level students who were supposed to resume on August 22nd, 2022.
The nationwide industrial action by ASU that stretched for almost 6 months further exposed the rot in the country's educational sector. On 18th August 2022, the management of the Gombe State University ordered students of 100 level to resume on Monday, 22nd August 2022 to complete registration and start academic activities. Some of the students said they had lectures and were very delighted with the development before the continuation of the industrial action by the ASU was announced.
I attended Gens today, English, and I feel great to be back in school after 6 months of holiday. Back then, when we went on strike as of February, March, I was reading my handouts, but because of the way the strike was now extending, I had to stop reading because it was as if we will never go back to school again.
Yes, I really feel bad because I want to continue my studies so that I should finish my graduation the same year that I'm supposed to graduate.
I feel like what's their point? Like they don't have any point. They don't have any reason for stopping us from. Since the management of the school have already agreed, then what's their own point of not allowing us? Because we are just 100 level. We just started the semester. We've not yet ended it because other levels had already finished. They've already written their exam. So they are going to allow us based on saying we've not finished. We've not even started first semester. We've not written our exam. We've not even done our matriculation. So even if it's just for us to come and finish this 100 level or this first semester, and then there shouldn't be a problem. But for the fact that ASU members are in the management of JSU don't agree to it, it's not right. That's not right at all.
Trust TV visited the ASU secretariat at the university, but the leadership of the union declined comment, pointing that its position to continue with the strike was clearly stated on the circular released on Monday. Efforts to speak to management of the Gombe State University on the matter was also not successful. However, experts believed the social impact of the ongoing ASU strike cannot be understated. They hope FG and ASU will be able to reach an amicable solution soonest. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Meanwhile, students of universities have pleaded with the Academic Staff Union of Universities to suspend its current strike to enable them continue with their studies. The appeal followed the suspension of strike action by SANU and NASU. The report.
Students said the prolonged ASU strike has caused them untold trauma, with others lamenting that they may not be eligible to participate in the National Youth Service Corps NYSC scheme due to age.
Strike is not anything new. I got into school in 2018 and I should be graduating by now, but I'm still in 300 level because we've been having consistent strikes. So by now, any student who means to, do something really nice for their future should know that the federal government and the ASU are really not, getting along. For Benue State, for example, you can go to the farm. This is the farming season so many things.
To ASU is that they should also consider by resuming back to school, because the strike has really affected us for we the students. Like me, I'm supposed to be a graduate now, but because of the strike and even my youth service is at stake.
ASU is taking this thing too far. It is true they like normally if they go on strike, things usually lessen down. But in this case, ASU has taken this thing too far. I mean, it is close like 7 months, going to 7 months now. ASU is still on strike.
For others, it is time for the government to do the needful and save the future of young people seeking university education in Nigeria.
I just want to call on the federal government and the ASU to try and settle their differences. This is not the time to blame each other. You know, we students, we are at home and we are not happy about it at all. Usually I was supposed to be graduating next year, but because of the long strike, I don't think it will be possible for me to graduate next year again. And you can see it's delaying students a lot. So I just want to call on the federal government and the ASU to try and settle whatever differences they have.
The university unions down tools since February, demanding for earned allowances, infrastructural deficits, as well as payment options. SANU and NASU have suspended the strike to give way for further negotiations. ASU, however, insists its salary arrears accumulated because of the no work no pay policy be paid before it can suspend the over 6-month strike.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. And still to come, after the break, living without electricity for a long period. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now another look at our top stories. Flood displaces residents of 13 plateau communities, destroys farms. And police and local hunters rescue 14 abducted passengers in Osun. And moving on to other news now. The House Representatives Committee on Finance has discovered serious contradictions in the figures released by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, as power generated by Azura Power Company from 2015 to 2020. Azura Power Company signed a $33 million take-or-pay contract with the NBET for the power generation of 450 megawatts to the national grid, but records by TCN showed a far cry from that figure. The report.
The House of Representatives Committee on Finance investigating the sale of 5 power plants in the country has unraveled infractions in the power generation contracts between Azura and Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading. The contract amount of $33 million was to enable Azura supply 450 megawatts to the NBET for eventual sale to the Transmission Company of Nigeria. But the committee, however, discovered serious infractions in the amount of energy generated by Azura monthly in contrast to the 450 megawatts expected.
Not only Azura, by directing companies. That's why you are here before us. NBET was here on Friday, and they will still be here tomorrow or tomorrow too. So it's not closed. I'm only asking you from your own function as an evacuator of power. What power you have been evacuating from a 450 power generation company? We have not gone into other power generation companies.
This prompted lawmakers to further demand clarifications on total supply of energy demand and consumption by Nigerians.
But there is an average consumption demand of the people who use Azura's services. What is that average consumption demand?
What we have given you here are the figures TCN has evaluated right from the inception in December 2017. that's when they commenced the operation.
So in other words, you cannot tell me this one 1,755,900. You cannot tell me how many megawatts. You don't know.
I know, Chairman, 1,755.9 megawatts. That is what it is.
The market operator is the man that administers the fund that is being generated in the whole power sector. So he decides what goes to TCN, he decides what goes to all the generating companies. So they are more or less independent.
The committee was dissatisfied with the information provided by the TCN representatives, as such insisted that the DG, TCN, appear in person to give answers to the nagging questions bothering the committee. The committee adjourned to Tuesday for further hearing.
And committees in Bassa local government area of Plateau State say the 4 months of no electricity in the entire local government has increased the rate of crimes in their localities. The residents told Trust TV on Monday that the blackout in the communities followed a windstorm that destroyed 30 electric poles in the local government. Ado Musa completes the story.
Members of the affected communities said since after the destruction of the poles, the Jos Electricity Distribution Company, which is responsible for the repairs, has not done anything to restore power in the area, describing the situation as a total disregard of the rights of consumers. The community said the development had resulted to high rate of crime in the area, adding that people who rely solely on electricity for their businesses have been counting losses, while some have closed them due to the cost of diesel.
For now, it has been 4 months that we have total blackout in Bassa community. And it has affected about 9 communities, and the authority concerned have not done anything about it. It has a very negative implication or effect on the residents of the community, because people that uses electricity for their businesses now have rendered their businesses comatose.
By virtue of that, they have not worked it. Like you can see the poles lying down behind me. It leads to houses. They can't access their homes.
And now for a look at the foreign scene, where Ukraine's capital Kyiv has banned public celebrations commemorating independence from Soviet rule, citing heightened threat of attack from Russia. The Ukrainian capital is banning any type of mass gatherings, while the city's military administrator is ordering security forces to be ready to respond to any type of attack, like missiles and bombings. The ban came after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Moscow could try something particularly ugly in the run-up to Wednesday's 31st independence anniversary, which also marks half a year since Russia invaded. Kyiv is far from the front lines and has only rarely been hit by Russian missiles since Ukrainian troops repelled a Russian ground offensive to seize the capital in March. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has announced an independent inquiry into his predecessor Scott Morrison's secret appointment to multiple ministries during the COVID-19 pandemic. Albanese announced the move on Tuesday after Solicitor General Stephen Donoghue concluded that while Morrison's appointments were legal, they fundamentally undermined responsible government. Morrison, who lost his seat at general elections in May, has faced a barrage of criticism from the Labour government and his own party after it was revealed he was secretly sworn into ministries without telling Parliament or his cabinet. In the written advice, the Solicitor General was critical that the public and Parliament were not informed of Morrison's appointment to the ministries. And in sports, Manchester United produced an outstanding display to defeat Liverpool and give manager Erik ten Hag his first Premier League victory at a thunderous Old Trafford. Ten Hag took the bold decision to drop captain Harry Maguire and Cristiano Ronaldo and was rewarded with a performance that lifted the mood of crisis around Manchester United and leave Liverpool still searching for their first win of the season. Jadon Sancho showed superb control and composure to deservedly put United in front after 16 minutes, before Marcus Rashford raced clear to beat Alisson from substitute Anthony Martial's pass 8 minutes after the interval. Mo Salah set up a tense finish when he scrambled in a header with 9 minutes left, but United survived to give Ten Hag just the first sort of triumph he needs to make his mark at Old Trafford. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.